Hello everyone, welcome yet again to the second part of the lecture that we were discussing, that is challenges to democracy. My name is Ashwin Joglekar and I am from Resonance PCCP division. So carrying the lecture or taking it further, the next point comes here is about redefining democracy. Now how do you go about in redefining democracy? Democracy, as we know, is a form of government in which rulers are elected by the people. Other than this definition, some other again qualifications must for a democracy are. Again, we are trying to redefine democracy. If you remember, probably in class 9th you had done the first chapter was what is democracy and why democracy. The rulers elected by the people must take all the major decisions. Elections must offer a choice and fair opportunity to the people to change their current rulers, and probably in the comment section you can mention the name of the countries through which these examples have been given. Third one is this choice and opportunity should be available to all people on an equal basis. Fourth, the exercise of this choice must lead to a government which is limited by basic rules of the constitution and citizen rights. Now, the most important thing, what role can we as citizens or ordinary citizens can play in deepening democracy? No democracy can function in the absence of enlightened and informed citizens, because they are the pillars of democracy. So therefore, the citizens have to play a very important and crucial role in terms of the deepening of democracy. Citizens maintain a balance between the government and the public issues. The socially responsible citizens should act with a sense of discipline as well as responsibility. They try to channelize the democratic system by airing their grievances or their problems. Well-informed citizens and enlightened citizens form a healthy opinion or public opinion which puts a check on the unresponsive government policies. Socially responsible citizens also help in regulation of social reforms and can put a check on rash and unsocial conducts. Hence, the strength of democracy lies in respecting the mind power of its citizens and creating an atmosphere of fair and frank interaction of thought, approaches and perspective for solving collective problems and building a polity of free and equal beings. Coming to the next topic, that is what are the major challenges which are faced by the democracy in India. To democracy in India, in spite of being the largest democracy in the world, Indian democracy also suffers from some of the challenges of its own nature, that is challenge of expansion, challenge of deepening democracy and challenge of criminalization and challenge of corruption. First is challenge of expansion. This challenge of Indian democracy involves the practical aspects, that is ensuring greater power to local governments, extension of federal principles to all the units of the federation and inclusion of women and minority groups. Although India has the federal nature of democracy based on decentralization of power, the local self-government is not implemented in a fair and just manner at every local or regional level, because India has a quasi-federal nature of democratic setup which is in unitary basis or with a unitary basis. Now here quasi-federal means semi-federal, that is the unitary or the central government has more power in comparison to the state governments. Women and minority groups still have not got a proper representation in the electoral politics of India, that is in probably the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. Hence, electoral reforms and political reforms have to be introduced in India. Challenges like casteism, communalism, political violence, etc. Casteism again is a deep-rooted problem in India which plays a dominant role in Indian polity. There are many caste and pressure groups like scheduled caste, federation, etc. which influence those who are in power by different methods to get their demands. For example, political parties like the AIADMK, DMK and BSP have come up to protect the interest of the backward classes. Communalism again remains a major challenge, has also its negative implications in Indian politics. It leads to the formation and growth of pressure groups to protect and promote specific interests of the community, example VHP, etc. B, it also leads to intolerance, suspicion and fear among the people towards members of other communities. Besides these, there are various types of violences also, instances of violence. The most serious manifestation of political and social violence is the growth of terrorism. Rising state violence is assuming serious dimensions and harms the very foundation of a democratic polity. Now, terrorism as itself has become a major challenge which is being faced by different countries of the world. Thus, this challenge requires an attempt to bring down the control and influence of the rich and powerful as well people in the government decision making. Challenge of criminalization. This challenge of Indian democracy reflects first money and muscle power, violence and multiplicity of candidates, lack of electoral activities lack of electoral ethics, insufficient society that is like minorities and women etc. who are not again given proper representation, have polluted the electoral by candidates is true. As yet we do not know if it has led to the decline in the influence of the rich and criminals. Hence, meaningful and comprehensive electoral reforms are urgently needed. Fourth is challenge of corruption. This challenge of Indian democracy is related to the criminal record and personal possessions of politicians. Now, it is mandatory for every candidate who contest election to submit an affidavit giving details of his property as well as the property of his relatives and his immediate family members. Apart from that, criminal cases which are pending against him, the new system has to be made a lot of information available to the public, but there is no system to check whether this information which is being provided is correct or not. Okay. So, that brings us to the end of the chapter and thank you so much.